we can go ahead and get started. So again, good evening and welcome to the NKU Admissions Student and Family Town Hall. My name is Ryan Paget. I am the Assistant Vice President for Enrollment and Student Success here at NKU, and I'll be serving as your moderator for this evening's event. We are pleased you are able to join us as we discuss NKU's upcoming fall semester and what we have planned for our students. To give you a sense of this evening's agenda, we will begin by introducing all the NKU representatives joining us to answer any questions you may have about the fall plan or NKU in general. Following the introductions, President Baidea will provide a formal welcome and opening remarks. I will then provide a brief presentation on NKU's reimagined fall semester. And then following this brief presentation, we will turn it over to you, where you will be able to ask any question you may have for the panel, either about the admission process or NKU in general. We're going to ask you that when you view your Zoom screen on the very bottom, you're going to see an icon that says Q&A. We're going to ask you to open that up because that's where we're going to ask you to write your questions in that Q&A box that is found again at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You can begin writing your questions now and throughout this evening's event because that's where we will track and be able to respond to your questions. So before we get to that, let me first allow myself to introduce everybody on the panel here today. First, we have NKU President Ashish Baidea. We have Arnie Slaughter, the Dean of Students and Assistant Vice President for Student Engagement. We have Melissa Borban, the Director of Undergraduate Admissions. We have Britta Gibson, Associate Director for New Student Orientation and Parent Programs. Lauren Moore, the Assistant Director of Communications and Technology and Undergraduate Admissions. Amy Racky, the Assistant Dean and Lead Advisor in the College of Arts and Sciences. Rose Temple, our Director of Health Services. Sarah Aikman, the Interim Senior Director of Student Engagement. Rochelle Shields, the Interim Director of University Housing. And we have Travis Hall, the Team Leader in Student Financial Assistance. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So it is now my pleasure to introduce our NKU President, Ashish Baidea. Mr. President.
Very good. Thank you, Ryan, for the introduction, and good afternoon to everyone. Especially congratulations to the new Norse and of course your families. It is truly my pleasure to welcome you to this virtual Admitted Students Day. As you can see, and Ryan introduced the various members of the NKU team, they're ready here to address your questions and answer any questions you have, and of course, give you a taste of what you or your student is going to be expecting us when they join us this fall. You know, ever since we entered remote operations over a year ago, I have been incredibly proud of the way the NKU community has worked together to meet the profound challenge of the pandemic. You know, it's often said that the true strength of an organization can be witnessed when a crisis descends upon it. The global pandemic was no small crisis, and it exposed some major fissures in our society and frankly, in the global economy itself. But our notion, which is still struggling with many of these challenges, we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Vaccinations are continuing. We're encouraging everyone to go ahead and do that or when their turn comes up, certainly encouraging all our faculty and staff and students as well. So we are in fact looking forward to getting out of this pandemic and welcoming all our new students and continuing students back. You know, NKU is a steward of place. And by that, we expect that we think we are a beacon of hope, and we set an example through our leadership throughout this region. I can say to you that the NKU faculty and staff have gone above and beyond to meet the needs of our students and assist the community throughout this past year, whether it was finding ways to help students with financial challenges, food insecurity, technology assistance, counseling, mental health due to the effects of isolation. We have kept students front and center in our service. You know, a few weeks ago I announced that NKU was going back to the future in the fall, and not simply returning to the way things were in 2019 or before the pandemic. Because this pandemic has created an opportunity for us to re-examine everything we do, from orientation to graduation to alumni engagement, while enhancing a community sense of belonging. The challenges of this past year have reinforced in our minds that at our core, we are a mission-driven university with a singular focus on empowering our students to live fulfilling careers and to pursue meaningful opportunities in their lives while making sure they contribute to the economic, civic, and social prosperity of this region. I'm really hoping and looking forward to our students returning in the fall, where they will enjoy an enhanced experience, which includes in-person learning, residence halls at capacity, campus events and activities that engage them in ways that we have come to expect. We hope to have the vibrancy we all yearn for, but with a renewed sense of how we support our students. NKU is constantly evolving as a university, and we will take the lessons we've learned from the pandemic and use them to advance our mission. And one of the most valuable lessons is adapting to meet each student where they are. Our fall courses will include various modes of delivery, in-person, hybrid, and online, to provide greater flexibility and options for diverse learners. We'll use what we have learned about their changing needs and expectations to create an even more responsive and supportive experience for them. And we will have a renewed focus on providing a technology-enhanced, coordinated academic and social support network, so we boost retention, persistence, and graduation rates and close equity gaps. So I'm here to assure you that NKU's commitment to your success is unwavering, and we have an incredible team waiting to welcome you in the fall. All the reasons that compelled you to choose NKU are still valid. The quality of our academic programs, the caring and attention you will receive from our faculty and staff, the numerous co-curricular and learning opportunities that will prepare you to enter the workforce, and of course, a highly valued degree, and I might add, one that is rated amongst the highest in return on investment, which is just another way of saying your decision to choose college, and NKU in particular, is a smart one. And I want to thank you for that. Again, congratulations to all of you. I look forward to welcoming you all in person in the fall. Ryan, back to you.
Thank you so much, President Baidea. Thank you for joining us and welcoming the new Norse. So appreciate that. Thank you so much. So Lauren, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to the presentation. This is going to be a very brief presentation because we really want to get to your questions, because that's what we're primarily here for. But we think this presentation is going to provide a little bit of clarity around not only some of the questions you may have, but also really kind of build off what the president has also just discussed. So Lauren, if we could go to the next slide, please. So as the president has shared, we will be back to the future. Again, we're not going to be going back to in terms of how we delivered and provided services pre-pandemic. We've been able to take the lessons learned from the pandemic and really be able to go in and create a very robust and what we feel like is a very supportive environment for our students from what we have learned. So as the president has shared, we will see courses and classes that will be in person, hybrid, and online. And so really the way we really want you to think about this is we will be the university you need us to be. If you want to have all your classes in person, you're going to be probably able to do that. If you're looking to do a hybrid because maybe you're working and want to have some classes online and want to do some on person, we're going to be able to create that schedule for you. Or if you want to be completely online, continuing through the fall, maybe even into the spring, you'll also have that option. So again, we're going to be able to provide that diversification of our course schedules for you so that we can meet you where you want to be. I know there's going to be a lot of questions today about housing, and the residence halls in the fall will be open. And so that is important, and we'll be able to ask any type of questions you have with regards to the residence halls in preparation for fall. An important thing we're also going to highlight, because this is something we hear from our students a lot, is will events and activities be on campus? And we can say yes to that. That is something that not only are we doing that currently in a limited capacity with everything going on, but at the same time as we transition into the fall, you will see activities and more events on campus. And while we are still doing a lot of that in-campus support, we will still be able to provide support as well as the resources that you need virtually. So if you want to meet with your advisor and can't make it onto campus to meet with them, you're still going to be able to meet with them in a virtual capacity. So again, something we've learned from the pandemic is to be able to be where you need us to be when you need us to be. Another thing that we're going to really focus on is that renewed focus on providing a tech-enhanced and coordinated academic and social support network. This is something, again, that we've been able to learn and glean from the pandemic as we've been supporting our students primarily virtually, is that when we really look at a coordinated approach to supporting our students, it's not just academics as well as maybe the outside the classroom. We're really looking at it from a holistic perspective. So classes, academics, obviously, your out of class experience and how you can get engaged, to the financial support, your career readiness, that whole health component is also going to be part of how we view and support students in a very holistic and coordinated way. What we mean by coordinated is that the entire university is working together, regardless of the office they're in, to make sure you as a student or your student is going to be supported and have any questions that they need or whatever additional support they may need, they will have it here on campus. Next slide, please. So I know there's a lot of questions that are coming up about vaccinations and how does fall look for that. And we'll be turning it over to Rose here in a little bit to provide a little bit of clarity around this. But NKU is not requiring that students get the COVID-19 vaccines. However, it is going to be strongly recommended, especially for students who will be living in university housing. So again, it's not a requirement, but it's highly, highly recommended for students that will be either living on campus or primarily spending most of their time on campus. In addition to that, Health Services provides not only the COVID-19 testing, but they also provide treatment and testing for common illnesses and injuries. So if anything happens to you on campus and you need health support, we have that here for you within our health services. In addition to health services, we have our counseling services, which also provide support for students through a variety of mental health conditions, including anxiety, depression, and relationship issues. If the student needs to meet with a counselor, we have both in-person and virtual counseling sessions. So again, that is there for students to be supported throughout the entire semester and their entire time here at NKU. Next slide, please. So again, I really want to make sure we're reiterating the importance that all the student support offices that you have at your disposal being an NKU student, be it career services, your academic advisor, student engagement, all of those offices are going to be providing in-person on-campus support as well as virtual support. So again, we're going to be able to meet you where you're at if you have any questions. So, 10, 20 years ago, heck, even 2 years ago, if you had a question, you may have had to drive onto campus to have that question answered to meet with somebody. That's not how we're going to do that anymore. We have really re-envisioned the university to be there, that if you need a quick phone call or want to talk to somebody over Zoom or over a Microsoft Teams, we can make that happen for you. And so again, we're going to be delivering this holistic and coordinated care approach to supporting our students. And one of the components we really want to highlight when we're talking about the coordinated care is the question we get quite often from incoming students and really our continuing students as they are here at NKU. And that's our next slide, please, Lauren. And that is, how can they continue to be engaged and have that active college experience, that socialization that they are looking for. And so we want to talk a little bit about that, those engagement aspects, because we have both Arnie and Sarah who are going to be here. So if you have any questions about activities, student organizations, fraternity and sorority life, any of those activities and organizations, please bring them up in the discussion, because we want to be able to demonstrate and share with you how we're going to be able to support you through the fall. So a lot of times we hear from students, well, I need to live on campus to be engaged in these activities or in these organizations. And that's actually not the case, because 2/3 of our students are commuter students. And a number of our students have been able to demonstrate through the last year that they've been able to do their student organizations online. While that obviously may not be ideal to that socialization and in-person experience, we still had those student organizations take place. As a matter of fact, we had a nationally competitive esports team. And the irony of that was those 4 teammates who made it to the Final Four in the national competition, they never even met each other in person until more recently. So they were able to achieve Final Four status in the national competition, and they did all that through that virtual organization and that virtual Zoom meetings and meeting each other in that capacity. So another thing we hear from students is you don't have time. Well, again, we've been able to demonstrate over this last year the flexibility to make sure if you want to be involved, we'll make that happen. And so we do provide flexibility in our student organizations and the activities. They're not only going to take place during the lunch hour. Our activities are going to take place throughout the day, so you can get involved in various events and activities taking place both virtually and on campus. We hear quite frequently students who want to get involved and want to have an on-campus job. We still do have on-campus jobs, and we will in the fall. This is something NKU invests heavily in, because we know students who want to work and earn additional monies. If you're on campus, you're more likely to succeed than if you have a job off campus. We want to try to provide as many opportunities for our students to work on campus. And then we hear about the cost of participation. Most, if not many, of our student organizations are free. And so a lot of our activities and events, particularly on campus, are free. So again, we want to make sure that all students have access to these activities and events. And lastly, we hear if you're engaged, it can pull you away from your academics. We have actually found the reverse. And actually, national studies have shown that students who are engaged and really have that sense of belonging on campus actually perform better academically throughout their time at NKU. And the reason for that is because if you want to be involved in an organization and you really want to do these activities, you start to really learn those time management skills. So you set time aside to say, okay, I'm going to do this event, but to do this event, I need to set time aside to study. And so when students have that really good schedule put in place, they tend to succeed and do well, as we see with our students in the data we have on our student organization. Last slide, please. I just wanted to highlight this very quickly. And again, please ask any questions you have around engagement and the activities that take place on campus, because one of the things that we want to show is engagement is not just fraternity and sorority life or a student government association. We really do have a diverse selection of engagement activities. Everything from things that take place academically within the college. We have a very strong service component to everything we do. It as the president said, as a store to place, we give back to the community. So we do a lot of service learning and service activities, all the way through to faith-based and sports clubs as well. So again, there's a number of areas in which you can get involved. And so we want to make sure we're reiterating that these activities will be taking place throughout the fall and throughout your time at NKU. And Lauren, I think it's okay if we go ahead and stop the presentation so we can turn it over to you, those in the audience, so that we can address some of your questions. And I know one of the main questions that has come up, I'm going to turn it over to Rose to provide, again, a little bit of clarity around the COVID vaccine, and is this a necessity for them, and any other things you'd like to add to that conversation.
As Ryan had said, the university is not requiring COVID vaccine, but we strongly encourage, especially those who are going to be living on campus and university housing. The reason for that is if their roommate gets sick with it, a lot of times roommates have to quarantine, which means they're missing class or they have to attend class virtually. So if your student has been vaccinated, the likelihood of quarantining is lower. Of course, we keep learning more and more about the vaccines the longer they're out. We don't know right now how long they last, but they're saying at least 6 months. So we are strongly encouraging any student, whether you live at home or if you're going to live on campus, to get vaccinated. I have applied to be a COVID vaccine provider, but I have not gotten any vaccines yet from the state. Hopefully, if I get them, I can provide them to students. But right now, as of yesterday, the state of Kentucky and Ohio, and I believe Indiana, are all open to 16 and above. So, you know, we encourage people to get vaccinated wherever they can get it right now. So Walgreens, Kroger's, CVS, health departments, there's a lot of places to get vaccinated. So, and our office will field many, many questions about exposures and about illness. We can do testing. We have rapid testing, or we can send out for testing, whichever is appropriate. So we are happy to help. We're here on campus in the University Center.
Great. Thank you so much, Rose. Britta, we're seeing a few questions come in about Northern Exposure. So do you want to talk a little bit about Northern Exposure? Perhaps the schedule, will they be doing it in person and virtual? And then will anybody be able to attend those sessions as well?
Sure. So Northern Exposure is the orientation program that all of our new students go through over the summer before they come to NKU. So if you are a student who has confirmed your enrollment, you should have received an invitation to select a Northern Exposure date. And that invitation is going to your NKU email address, as well as the email address that you used when you applied to NKU. So for this summer, we are offering a variety of programs to fit your comfort level. So students can choose to participate virtually or in person. These are half-day programs regardless of the format. And if a student is participating in person, they can bring one family member or guest member with them to that program. So you'll have an opportunity to choose AM, PM sessions, virtual or in person. So hopefully everybody's needs are met this summer. You'll be taking care of business. So you'll pick up your ALL card, which is your student ID. And the students are going to learn and connect with some of our current students at NKU families. We're going to provide you with some great resources to support your students. And after a student has selected their Northern Exposure date, starting in late April, they're eligible to be contacted by their advisor to be registered for classes, which I'm sure Amy is going to talk a little bit more about later, but that is tied to that orientation date selection.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Britta. Get a few questions coming in for Rochelle here about housing. Some kind of just higher level questions around, are they going to be able to see their rooms before they move in, and will housing be available for students? And then also, how will they find out about their roommates? So Rochelle, I'll let you go. I'll turn it over to you to talk about either those questions or just housing, the housing process in general.
Good evening. Yes, we are actually working with the Office of Admissions, and we're going to work on having some tours this summer during orientation. We're still working on that, and we will be sending out some notifications. So Britta mentioned your NKU email. If you have not logged in, I encourage you to log in with your email. And I know you have a lot going on, but please watch those emails, because we're going to be putting some messages out there, and also in the housing portal. So we are working on some tours for this summer. Our application process is going strong. If you have not completed your application, please do so. And you can choose your own room until May 31st. After May 31st, our office will assign you according to the preferences that you put on your application. Starting June 7th, if you decide you want to switch rooms and you have a completed application, you have until June 23rd to look around in the system and make those changes. Sometimes students will connect with each other through Facebook, social media, to find their roommates. We do not at this time have a formal roommate matching system. There's some things that we've been talking about in that area, but right now students are actually looking when they come to orientation and they decide maybe they found someone that they want a room with. And then maybe we can help work with you if you cannot find a room together in the system. So we are still taking applications. May 31st, remember, is the deadline for you to choose your own room.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rochelle. And again, if you have questions, either about housing or for anybody on the panel or just NKU in general, if you're just joining us, along the bottom of your Zoom, you will see the Q&A icon. If you just click on that and you type in your question, we will make sure we address it in this evening's event. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Amy Radke. So Amy, there's some questions about advising, specifically when are advisors assigned? And then maybe you want to talk a little bit about the scheduling process for our new and incoming students.
Or good evening, everyone. So as Britta had said, that within a couple weeks, if you confirmed your orientation date, the advisors will be emailing everyone to your NKU account with a campaign link to schedule an advising appointment with the advisors. So you'll be advised within each of your departments or in your college. And at that time, you will be finalizing a schedule. So you also should receive an email very soon, or maybe you've already received it, about a pre-scheduling survey. We ask that all the students complete that, because that's going to give the advisors information about times best for that you want to go to school as far as students, maybe some AP classes that you've had, or if you've had dual credit. And that's a lot of information for our advisors to have when we try to come up with a schedule for you. So usually what happens is, before your meeting, the advisors will come up with a we'll pre-schedule you for classes. And then when we meet with you and discuss the classes we've selected, we can change them out and adjust it in any way that you see fit that works with your schedule. A lot of times the advisor, especially if you're in a program that has very specific classes you must take that first semester, you'll be placed into those classes right away, so you don't lose your spot. So you have a seat in those classes regardless of when you come to orientation in the summer.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amy. I'll turn the next question. I'll let Melissa or Arnie decide who would like to respond around food plans. So maybe we could talk a little bit high level about the food plan, but the specific question is, if you don't live on campus, can you get a food plan? So Arnie or Melissa?
Yep. So we're referring to meal plans, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So students that live on campus are required to have a meal plan, and we have a variety of different options that include a set number of meals that you get for the entire semester. Some students like to kind of balance and budget out their meals for the entire 16 weeks. We also have some plans that are kind of stationary. So you get X number of meals per week or per day. Students can select any meal plan that they like, and they have until up to the end of the second week of classes to change their meal plan if they pick a meal plan that they thought they would like, but want something a little bit more flexible. For our commuter students, we do also offer some commuter meal plans that can be accessed via the dining website. And students can add money to their cards and actually you get a discount if you do the commuter meal plan options that are available. So you're not paying the full price, you get an actual discount for using your meals on campus. Commuter students can access the residential dining facilities, as well as the food courts that are available in the student union and some other food options that are displaced across our campus communities.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Arnie. All right, Michelle, couple rapid fire questions that are coming in around housing. So I'll ask them kind of back to back to you here. Network connectivity, are there Ethernet ports or wireless capabilities in the residence halls?
All of our halls are wireless, so the entire campus is. So yes, students will have the opportunity. We have a different secured location with our internet in housing. When you first come to campus, you will have to log in. We'll have your staff, our residence life staff will help you get set up, but we do have wireless throughout the campus.
Perfect. And then cable. So cable TV, will they have access to cable TV, and are TVs in any of the rooms?
We do have TVs in the common areas. So students can bring their own TVs if they're like. A lot of students have their own Netflix and all those things that they like to log into, but they will have internet connection to do those things. But there are no TVs placed into the individual bedrooms, but in all of the common areas, there are TVs at the end of the hallways on every floor.
Perfect. I know this is a specific question, but the housing website for Callahan Hall appears down. Do we know if that's been fixed recently?
We will take care of it.
We will look into that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And one more, a couple more, Rochelle, and then I'm going to turn it over to someone else here. Are freshmen or first year students required to live in the residence halls their first year?
Yes, if they are. We're actually getting ready to start sending out some letters to all of our students this week, and it is going to list the exemption counties. And if you are required to live on campus, then you will, if you want to live at home, you'll have to sign a verification that you are living with your parents. If you do not sign the verification and you do not live in housing and you decide to live somewhere else besides home, and then you will be charged the lowest price of housing. So we want to make sure we get all that information out to you. If you have any questions, our mailing went out actually on Friday, so you should be receiving those letters this week. Perfect. If you have any questions, please make sure you call our office and work with us on that.
Perfect. And Rochelle, last one here, at least for these questions. When is the move-in date?
So we're looking at move-in date being on August the 19th, and we will have more information. We may do 2 days. We're still looking at that to make sure that we are practicing our social distancing. So we're still working on that in housing, but we will be sending out some information real soon. But we can please hold that Thursday. That is our official first year move-in date. And we have a lot of activities planned for our students coming back to campus. We're excited to see everyone back on campus.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rochelle. Sarah, a question came in, is Victor Fest mandatory for students?
So the first 2 days of Victor Fest are mandatory, which would be Friday, the 20th of August and Saturday, the 21st of August. And then the other activities that will run through the 28th of August are optional for students, but I would encourage you to encourage your students to participate in those activities. We have all kinds of fun things going on. We're going to have comedians and hypnotists, and we're going to have a cruise ship. We're going to have an outdoor movie. We will be supporting our Norse athletic teams at soccer games and things like that. So lots of fun activities, but Friday and Saturday activities are mandatory, and that schedule will come out for those activities through the through Britta's office.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. And just a quick plug, Victor Fest is also very, very popular. So with all students. So strongly encourage your students. It's a fantastic opportunity to meet other students and really to see the vibrancy of campus. So absolutely. Melissa, will you talk a little bit about the Pathfinders program? Specifically, is there a way that if someone wants to waive participation, but do you just want to maybe talk a little bit about that important program?
Sure. So the Pathfinder program, the decision to be admitted to Pathfinders is made upon admissions, and it's based on high school GPA and standardized test scores on the ACT or SAT. What we love about the Pathfinder program is you're advised by Norse Advising, and you work with your advisor to let them know what academic major you have an interest in. So the advisors that serve Pathfinder students are well-versed with all the majors across campus, and they have connections in every college. So our goal is to support you through the Pathfinder program with things like study tables, many different resources. There's a University 101 that our students will take, which is an orientation class to college. We have a variety of peer coaches that work with our students, and we do things like major exploration. We make sure our students are aware of all of the resources, tutoring, health and counseling, navigate the university to be successful. Upon completion of the Pathfinder program, it could be after one semester based on GPA and completion of the study tables, you're free to declare your major, most students in January. It does not set you behind. Think of it as extra support for you, because again, we're making sure you're taking the courses you need to transition to a major. So we'll take a look at all of the courses that you've taken, any placement test results that you choose to take, and we help build a schedule for you. So think of it as wraparound support to help you transition to your bachelor's degree program.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Melissa. A couple questions that also came through, and I was remiss not to say this. We are recording this session, and this will be shared back out with everybody in case you have to step away or maybe missed a couple questions, or you're not going to be able to complete the rest of the time. We will be recording this. And then in addition, we've seen a number of participants also come in. So welcome to everyone who has just recently joined us. And as a friendly reminder, we are going through the question and answer session right now. So if you do have a question, please click on that Q&A icon on the bottom, and you'll be able to pull up the form, which will allow you to submit any questions that you have for our panel or NKU in general. And so, Amy, we've got a couple other questions that are coming in with regards to registration, as well as students that are bringing in some credits prior to college. So I'll read this kind of word for word, because I think it gets to some other questions that are coming through. I've completed some college courses already, and I know registration is open for current students. Will that be a problem with registering for certain classes with limited space?
No, that should not be a problem. That's why the advisors are going to go in and start pre-registering students. We started actually sending out the list to all our advisors today, so the advisors can get started on pre-registering students before they meet with you. They meet with you virtually. So the appointments for this first time around are either going to be virtual, by email, or by phone. Just this first time, and then in the fall, if you choose to have a face-to-face appointment, we can do face-to-face, we can do virtual, whatever you prefer in the fall, we will make that work. One thing I do want to say though, if you have dual credit, so if you have AP credit or if you have dual credit coming in, maybe from another university, not NKU, it's really important for you to have that college send your transcripts to NKU. The high school does not do that. And for an advisor to know what grade you have, sometimes you may have had a class, you need a certain grade in it to move on to the next course. It's important for us to have that transcript in our system when it comes time for advising. Now we can adjust schedules all summer long, and sometimes I do that with my students as credit comes in. But just remember that that's important for you to have that transcript sent from that school.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amy. All right, Rochelle, we've got a couple more questions. I'm going to go back to back with you if you don't mind. So the first one is, are there refrigerators and microwaves in the rooms and housing?
There are many fridges. There are not microwaves. So please, you can bring, even if a student wants to bring another refrigerator, a mini fridge, because it is shared, then they can do that. Perfect.
And the next one is, I'm going to read the first part. We're all going to say congratulations. I'm getting married right before I come to NKU, so congratulations. So Rochelle, does this mean I have to stay on campus since I am an incoming freshman?
No, it does not. You do not have to stay on campus if you're married. You do not.
Thank you, Rochelle, and congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
All righty, so our next question is for Lauren. Lauren, do all incoming freshmen have to take a placement test? And if yes, how do they schedule that?
That's a great question. So while I would say that not every student has to take a placement test, we do provide opportunities for students to take different types of placement tests based on what types of entrance exams they've already taken, as well as what their major is going to be. So the short answer to a longer conversation that we can have is that we do provide an experience called Math Placement May for students who have taken an ACT or an SAT and received a score that they would like to improve or change, or if they did not have the opportunity to take any type of standardized testing and they are intending to go into a major that will require math credentials that will prepare them for their major. So a great example of this is someone who's interested in computer science, or someone who's interested in becoming a biochemist, or someone who is interested even in exercise science. If you're taking a major that's going to require a certain level of math knowledge and you haven't taken an ACT or SAT, we're inviting you to come to Math Placement May. You should have received an email probably today. And if you haven't, you can inquire with the admissions office about Math Placement May, which will allow you to come to NKU's campus if you're local or willing to come to campus, and take a free placement test on Friday or Saturdays in May. And then if you are non-local and looking to do this virtually, we also have an experience called ALEX that does cost a low cost, and you can take the ALEX exam for math placement. And then I would also like to suggest that we highly encourage our students to take an English placement test as well. And this English placement is more than just a test. It's actually a self-assessment for you to determine what the best place for you in your English experiences would be. So let's say you have not taken an AP course for English, or you've not taken a college credit for English, and you want to make sure that you're going to be taking the right course, and you can work with your advisor to pick the right one. This self-assessment for English will really help you understand what you're good at and what you enjoy about English, so that you're prepared for the college classes. All of this can be found at nku.edu/testing, and I will make sure to put that in the question and answer as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lauren. Arnie, another meal plan question. Do you know when the meal plan costs will be posted for the next academic year?
So the finalized cost should be posted in the midpoint of May. Our current rates are subject to be approved by our Board of Regents. So once we get the definitive number, they'll be posted on the housing website. If you're trying to kind of budget and anticipate what those costs may be, we do have our current rates that are available on our website. And typically those rates are increased by 2 to 3%. So you can kind of calculate what those meal plan rates may be once they're approved.
Perfect. Got a couple questions real quick for Amy here as well. And I know you alluded to it a little bit earlier, but if you could talk a little bit more about it. When students make the connection with their advisor to start talking about scheduling courses for the fall, will that be done in person or virtually?
So that will be done virtually, or email or phone. I think most of the advisors are going to reach out virtually first, but if you can't make that virtual appointment, then we will work with you either by phone or by email to get that initial schedule built.
Perfect. Thank you. And Hope, I see that you raised your hand. We're not going to be able to hear you since we're on a webinar. So if you could actually, if you do have a question or a comment, if you just want to go ahead and click on that Q&A icon and type it in, we'll be able to address whatever question you may have for us. And then another question for you, Amy, as well. Can we find out what credits from other universities and how they will transfer? How can they find out? How can they find out about those credits transferring from other universities?
Yeah, so that is, we can find that out on the admissions page, and our advisors will do that. But you can find that on the admissions page under transfer students, and there's a way to go in and put in the courses that you've taken from another school and see how it transfers here to NKU. Melissa, do you want to touch on that any?
Sure. So we encourage students to make sure, as Amy mentioned earlier, that we have official transcripts from all dual credit work that's been earned. If it's NKU credit, we already have it, so no need to request a transcript. So as soon as you finish classes in May, make sure we have official transcripts. Your work is evaluated by our transfer area in the registrar's office, and it's actually loaded into your MyNKU portal where you can see the courses that you've taken. Typically, you receive an email that also shares with you a PDF of all your courses. But as Amy was mentioning, if you're looking forward on our transfer.nku.edu, We have a test system where you can actually put in the courses that you've taken, and it will tell you how they're going to transfer to NKU. If any questions come about this, please give us a call back. But know that as soon as we get your coursework, it will be loaded. Amy also mentioned about AP credit. AP credit comes to us all throughout the summer, sometimes as late as mid-July. So we would make sure that your advisor is aware of that and any schedule changes that can happen. But I would encourage you in July, look at your schedule and make sure that there's nothing that you've missed that we do not know about, because Amy will tell you, we have students that forget, I took that class at Gateway or Thomas More or somewhere. So make sure we get official transcripts, and we'll be glad to evaluate that credit so you can see how it fits in your degree plan.
Perfect.
And I just want to piggyback on that.
As advisors, we don't know sometimes if you've taken AP credit. So a lot of times we don't have your final high school transcript until July. So we are going by a transcript that you submitted when you were admitted, and it may only have your up to your junior year. So that's why it's really important, if you have taken AP credit or you're taking courses at another institution, that you inform your advisor when you meet with them, or fill out that pre-scheduling survey, so we are aware of what to expect and what's coming in.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All righty. So the first one, I'll go to Britta here, and then we're going to go over to Travis to talk a little bit about some of the questions coming in around affordability and FAFSA. So Britta, do you want to talk a little bit about the difference in new or student orientation with regards to what they may be doing in June and July compared to what they would be doing in August? And the differences?
Sure, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy to do so. So as Sarah mentioned earlier, the first 2 days of Victor Fest are required for our new students. So when you're thinking about the half-day program that you attend in June, July, early August, think of that as more of a taking care of business day. You're here to make sure everything's in order. You're double checking your class schedule. You're listening to an academic session, and you do select that date. Once you have selected that date in June or July, you are automatically registered to participate in the first 2 days of Victor Fest, which happen on the 20th and the 21st of August. So you don't have to do anything extra to sign up for that program. We'll bring all of the incoming class together at the same time, and you'll receive an individualized schedule closer to that date in August, so that you'll know exactly where you need to show up on those days. During that time, obviously, it's a little bit more of a party in a good sense, right? Because we have all the students here together at the same time with several of our current students. You're going to attend some workshops to learn some of the required information and some of the tips to help you be successful at NKU. But you're also going to do some social activities as well to get to know the rest of the students who are going to be joining us in the fall.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Britta. And I'm going to ask the panel, we're heading into about the last 16 minutes or so, and we've got a number of questions still coming in, which is fantastic. So we're going to try to address these, I don't want to say as fast as we can, because we want to make sure we're giving you as much information as possible, but I want to make sure that if you do have questions that we do get to them. So the first one for Travis, we've got a couple for you, Travis. When will students get their financial aid packets in the mail?
Those financial aid packages have already started going out. At this point, if you have not received one, I would encourage you just to make sure that there are no outstanding requirements for your FAFSA award. If you click on My NKU, there's a section for financial aid. If you click on that, there's a Documents tab underneath it, and that would tell you any outstanding requirements that we need for us to issue that award. You're always welcome to give us a call at our office. Our number is 859-572-5143, so we can take a more detailed look at your specific account. It's really hard sometimes to know specifically what it is without looking at it, but those awards have been going out. Now, if something changes, we are still reviewing the scholarship application. We will definitely send you an updated award notice. So if something does change, you'll definitely get notified about it.
Perfect. Travis, I want to talk a little bit about KEYS money. So if a student has a scholarship which covers tuition and books, and they still have some KEYS money available, will they lose that KEYS money, or how will that be applied?
The KEYS money is the same as an outside scholarship, so it would automatically still be applied to the university bill. We typically begin getting KEYS monies around this time of year. Some students may already see that notification on their account. Some students won't see it until after their spring semester ends at their high school, because their guidance counselor has to update that information with KEA. So if you don't see it yet, don't panic. It may take another couple weeks before it gets out there. But if your bill is paid through another source, if you have a full tuition scholarship or a prepaid tuition plan that covers your tuition charges, you don't lose that KEYS money. We refund it to you. So any overage that you receive, we issue to you as a refund so that you can use it for books, a computer, school expenses, whatever you want to really use it for to help you with your education.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Melissa, do you want to talk a little bit about students and the move-in requirements for certain counties? Do you want to talk a little bit about what that radius may look like for students?
Yes, I'm actually going to have my colleague Rochelle talk more in depth about that, what counties are required to live on campus outside of the exemption. So I'll kick that to Rochelle.
Okay, I just placed in the chat the link so that you could read the exceptions, and I don't have to read all of them to you, but we have them in Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio. And in Indiana, I'll go ahead and start with Dearborn, Franklin, Jefferson, Ohio, Ripley's, and Switzerland counties. In our Kentucky is Boone, Bracken, Campbell, Carroll, Grant. I need to put on my glasses. Kenton, Owen, Mason, Pendleton. And then Ohio is Adams, Brown, Butler, Claremont, Hamilton, and Warren. And I did want to mention the young lady earlier, or a gentleman who mentioned that they were getting married. Make sure you also fill out the verification form and state that on that, that you're getting married, and send that back in to us.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rochelle. Greatly appreciate it. Lauren, we've got another math placement test. So for the math placement and the ALEKS, what are the requirements to take them? What ACT scores are needed not to take the tests?
This is a great question, and it's all individually based because there are certain majors that require a certain level of math knowledge that's not required by everyone. So what I would say is please email admissions. So it's nkuadmissions@nku.edu. I will type that in the answer as well. And just because that is such an individually based question, we will definitely answer that for you. But I'll have to check where you're going and where you've been in order to make the best answer for you.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. Before I put Arnie on the spot with a question, Britta, there is a question from Wes. A little bit of confusion. Can you just clarify again what exactly is VictorFest?
Sure. So VictorFest is a cross-collaborative programming event that pulls in everyone from the whole campus, and that begins from freshman move-in day, and it runs into the start of classes. And so you're going to see those first 2 days, that Friday and Saturday, are going to be heavy with some extended orientation activities. And then, like Sarah mentioned earlier, there's going to be lots of social fun activities, from sporting events to magicians, hypnotists, turning the student union into a cruise ship. So lots of ways to get you on campus, out of your room if you're living on campus, connecting with other students and having a really good time. So the first 2 days of that are required, just like Northern Exposure orientation is. And then the rest of that is really strongly encouraged for you to pick at least a handful of activities that you want to participate in once you start your journey here at NKU.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Britta. So Arnie, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. We have the Dean of Students with us. So if you were to make one recommendation for an incoming student, what would that recommendation be? Be it involvement, anything? Is there thinking about NKU and what their fall semester is going to be like? What's the one recommendation you have as the Dean of Students?
Yeah, I would encourage my students to find those connection points. We've talked about VictorFest, which is, again, the welcome week of activities for incoming students. So I would encourage my incoming students to challenge themselves, to meet someone that's different from themselves, to meet people that didn't come from the high school, to visit Fresh Fusion, which is our Super Bowl of student organization fairs. So you have an opportunity on the Saturday of VictorFest, which is called Fresh Fusion, to really engage with other incoming students and see close to 200 student organizations that we have here on campus. My advice would be to find one or two organizations that are of interest to you, because the more you get involved, the greater experience you're going to have here on campus. All the things that Ryan mentioned earlier in terms of involvement, higher GPA, you feel connected to campus, you feel that this is your home. So find those two organizations to get invested with early, so that you can maximize the collegiate experience for the next 3 or 4 years of college.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Arnie.
You're welcome.
Melissa, if a student has earned college credits while in high school, are they considered either a sophomore or a transfer student? So will they be included in these first year activities?
Great question. So any student who is graduating from high school in June or May that is going to college this fall, regardless of how many credits you've earned, you are considered a new freshman. And that is good for you because as a new freshman, you're considered for freshman scholarship opportunities. You're included in our freshman orientation and Victor Fest experience. So no matter how many credits you bring in, you are still a new freshman for application for admission, financial aid, scholarship, and the activities available. We also have activities for transfer students and adult learners as well as we open our campus up for the fall semester for new learners.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Travis, a question for you as well. As we're heading into the fall semester and we have students that are either still making the decisions or students that have committed, there's still important information around financial assistance and scholarships and support. So as these students are heading into their fall and thinking through things right now, what are some things that you would recommend or tell a student at this point in time with regards to either financial aid or scholarships?
One of the big things we always say is cast a wide net. There are lots of scholarship opportunities outside the university that you can check in. Your guidance counselor is usually a really good source of those for the scholarships within your local community. Most major organizations have a scholarship. For example, when I went to college, I got a scholarship from Walmart for my first year. Definitely check into those. Any scholarship application, as long as it's not asking for a fee or for things like your social security number and date of birth, is probably going to be pretty legitimate as far as just offering funds for students. There's no downside in applying for additional scholarships. If you haven't yet, please complete the FAFSA application as soon as you can, even if you're not sure you're going to get anything. It's a good way to make sure you're on base if something changes in your life and you need to apply for student loans or to be reevaluated for aid. It's always just a different information point for you to have when you're making your decisions about your funding options.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Travis. And Travis, as a follow-up, we had another question. Again, can you reiterate when will students find out about their scholarship awards?
The merit-based scholarships, you should already see the ones that, if you're a resident of Kentucky, those should already be listed on your account. The scholarships from the scholarship application, we are hoping to have completed by mid-May. There are a few that may still come in after that, but by mid-May, you should have a very firm idea of the scholarships that you have been awarded for the fall semester.
Perfect. Excellent. So far, if I'm looking through our questions and answers, we've addressed kind of every question that's come through so far. We're obviously here till 7, and we will be happy to stick around and answer any questions that anybody has. Again, if you've maybe just joined us and you'd like a specific question asked, please let us know. We'd be happy to do so. If you have any last minute questions, again, you have a diverse representation of campus right here in front of you with all the different departments and services that are here. So any question, please, we are happy to address those. And with that, we'll open it up to, oh, Sarah, please go ahead.
I would just like to encourage parents to encourage their students to also think about some on-campus employment. NKU has lots of on-campus jobs, and the really good thing about working on campus is we work around student schedules. So campus recreation, the student union, university housing, and facilities management are some of the biggest employers of students here on campus. You're not going to get rich working on campus financially, but you will have an enriched experience, and you'll get to meet lots of students that are from different backgrounds that may not be part of your major or live on campus, or commuter students or upper class students. And it's a really, really great way for students to get involved right away, but also encourage your students, if they're interested in that, to start looking in the summer, because lots of us post our positions early because we need to hire people and be ready to go when classes start. So we do have the ability to hire students that will be incoming freshmen, and they can start working in the summer. So jobs are listed on the NKU Human Resources website. I know that the student union is going to be looking for lots of student employees, and we are starting to look at those now. So encourage your students to check out the jobs website.
Perfect. Thank you so
Lauren,
much.
can you put the jobs website in the chat?
We will absolutely do so. Yep. And then the one thing that, just to reiterate, because I think this is really critically important, I'll just give a quick example. When Sarah says we work around the student's schedule, we cannot, and of course we will not, schedule a student if they're working on campus to work during their finals. So if they've got their scheduled finals period, we will not have them work, because obviously we know that they need to be in finals. That's not always the case for the off-campus jobs, where an employer or supervisor may be, especially maybe if you're in the food service business and you're doing some waitressing, then all of a sudden, you may have that block that you have to show up for waitressing when all of a sudden you have 2 exams during that day. And so obviously trying to negotiate that with your supervisor can get tricky. So that is truly a benefit of working on campus, is we literally work around the student's schedule. So you won't have any hours scheduled during your course time and during your finals time, because that means you should be in class and taking your finals. So we did have a question, Melissa. I think I'll turn this one over to you. I know it's broad enough that every single person on this town hall could answer it, but can you speak to preparing for fall, just getting ready in general? And I know they had asked a very targeted question about purchasing books, but how does a student get ready for coming onto a college campus and succeeding?
So several families joining us today have already committed to NKU. So you've paid your confirmation fee and you're securing your orientation date, whether that's in person or virtual. You're taking care of placement testing, early scheduling. You're working with our housing folks to have your housing secure. Some of our families are still making final decisions. And I would tell you that the confirmation fee of $75 is the next step to confirm your spot. That allows you to be invited to the summer orientation dates, which are filling up pretty quickly. As far as what to do to prepare, I want you to succeed the rest of your spring semester of your senior year and take time to enjoy all of your accomplishments that you've made. Your family members are so proud of our students, so take advantage of opportunities to celebrate. Finish strong, because we do see Keys money does affect the end of the senior year. So as Travis mentioned, Keys money is important, so work hard. This summer, many of you will have part-time jobs. You'll help save money for college. Hopefully you'll get some experience with some vacation time. That orientation date is very important. We take that very seriously. And Britta mentioned it's your one chance to get to know some current NKU students that have navigated successfully our environment, and also introduce you to resources that are here to support you, from advisors to campus partners. What we find at that day is you're going to get your all card taken, which is your NKU ID. You're also going to learn more about the bookstore options on campus with Barnes and Nobles, and you can actually reserve your books. You're also going to learn more about parking, get that taken care of. And then the summer months of July and August, you are preparing to move on to campus, or you're preparing to live at home and have the most successful career as a commuter student. And Arnie mentioned this earlier, but when we talk to a lot of our students, the most involved students sometimes are our commuters. They make a decision to be committed to get involved. They take advantage of on-campus jobs, as Sarah mentioned. They find the right club or organization to be involved in. And you've probably heard this and told your sons and daughters, college is what you make of it. So we want them to have a great experience. What we find too, as Britta mentioned, that Victor Fest, that move-in day through that first week and week and a half of school, is your commitment to make sure that you're prepared for your classes, you've gotten your books, you've figured out what clubs and organizations to take a peek at, and you find yourself in your third week settling into our college campus. It's very common that freshmen show up early. We know who you are. We invite you and we can't wait to see you. And all of our freshmen are going to get a t-shirt this summer mailed to you. And we'll kind of know who you are. So we like to greet you. So take advantage of your spring semester. Enjoy the rest of it. Take advantage of the summer. Save some money from college because you want to have some spending money, and also help your families and so forth pay for college. Keep an eye on your NKU email. It is so, so important. We're going to reach you about financial aid, summer activities, get involved. And NKU is your vehicle for that all 4 years that you're at NKU. So make sure your sons and daughters and family members are checking the NKU email. And the last thing I would say to you is it is your requirement to make sure we receive your final high school transcript, because that's important for us to secure enrollment from spring on. So you'll get reminders about that. And that kind of wraps up your senior year of high school. We've got all the credentials we need, and you're prepared to move on for your spring semester in a very successful manner.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa. I know I threw that question at you, which can be answered in an hour in itself. So great job in summarizing that. Yeah, I mean, the big takeaways there are going to be checking your email and making sure you meet deadlines. That's going to keep you perfectly on pace so that you're ready to go throughout the summer and then through the fall. All right, we have two quick questions before we'll answer, and then we'll turn it over to Lauren to share some exciting details that will be coming up over the next couple weeks. So the first one will go quickly to Britta. Will there be an orientation for students receiving veteran benefits?
Yeah, so we typically offer a veteran session for students who are veterans or receiving veterans benefits. So just check your email for that. So the student can potentially come to a first-time freshman program, but then they could also come to the transfer session that has that veteran session with it. So we're working to get that information together soon so that you can make the best decision as to when you want to visit campus to learn more about that.
Perfect. And that's a great opportunity for you to meet our benefits certifying official. So they'll walk you through certification of your benefits, as well as an opportunity to go through and meet with our veterans resource staff, station staff as well. And then lastly, Rochelle, you're going to get the last question before we turn it over to Lauren. Beds in the residence halls, can they be elevated so that additional storage can be used beneath?
Yes, they can. We do ask your patients. Students will put in a work order when they come to campus. And we do encourage you to wait for our maintenance staff to help you with that so that you're safe, but we will get around to getting that done for you. And your RA will show you how to put that work order in to help get that bed lifted up if you would like it lifted.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So before we close, we want to make sure we share some exciting opportunities for you over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully you've been able to take away a lot of information today. And we know sometimes this can be very overwhelming. And so we have Lauren, I should say, and her team have developed some really unique events and activities that will be coming up that you'll be able to engage in over the next couple weeks, again, to help with that transition from high school to college, and really that support and resources that you'll have for the transition into NKU. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lauren to share this exciting news.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you for all of our families that joined us tonight. The great news is that if you have burning questions that come up tomorrow, which is always the way for me, we have these town halls taking place every Tuesday in April to give you the answers that you need to help with your student making the best decision possible for school. So what that means is that we will be sending invites to admitted student and family town halls for the next 3 Tuesdays coming up in April. Those different topics include coordinated care, which will come up on April 13th. Really, that's for us to share with you how our entire university is dedicated to making sure our students are successful and how we coordinate that care among different departments, divisions, faculty, and offices. And then April 20th is an affordability session. So if you were one of the families that really wanted to dive deep into how NKU makes our education affordable to you as a family, not just through scholarships or financial aid, but also how housing is affordable and how we provide a lending library for book selection and how we provide opportunities for employment for our students on campus. If you want a deeper dive of that, that will be August 20th. And then finally, we have April, not August, April 20th. And then finally, April 27th, we have the Academic and Career Services Town Hall. So if your student is very interested in how will NKU set them up to be successful in the future, and what is the ROI that NKU can provide through the major that your student is selecting, that would be the town hall for you. So again, all in April, the 13th, 20th, and 27th.
Perfect. Thank you, Lauren. And I know there's others that are actually being planned right now. So you're going to hear about the coordinated care. Some key takeaways there is it's not just the academic plan that you're going to have in place, it's the engagement plan and the involvement we want you to have in place, because those go hand in hand as you're working to get involved in campus, learning leadership, as well as potential internships and co-ops. Lauren shared for that last one with the career and the academic. We want to make sure you have an academic plan, that's important, but we also want to make sure you have a career plan so that those are aligned, so that the activities that you're doing inside the classroom can benefit you outside the classroom and make you competitive in the job market when you walk across the stage and shake the hands with the president at graduation. And so thank you, Lauren, for highlighting some of those things. So we really do encourage you, again, these are just town halls. You don't have to sit for the entire 60 minutes if you don't have it. If you just have 15 minutes and you want to pop in and ask a question, that's what we're here for. We will have the recorded sessions for those that do confirm and sign up for those town halls. But please, you are welcome to come in. You'll have the opportunity to talk to our distinguished guests, similar to what you saw today. And we will make sure that NKU representation across campus for each of those programs is there, so that if you have a specific question for a specific department, we will make sure that we can get that addressed for you. And so with that, if the entire panel could wave at the same time, we want to thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you have confirmed to come to NKU, we are excited to be that you'll be joining us in the fall. And for those that may be still on the fence or maybe leaning more towards NKU, we are excited that you have decided that this is the place that you would like to consider to be. And we hope you do make that decision and join us here in the fall. Again, we have an amazing admission staff that will be able to help with any questions that both admitted and confirmed students have. The biggest thing is we don't ever want you to have a question that is left unanswered. We don't want you to worry about that at night. If you have a question, either come to our town halls or just reach out to our admission staff or anybody that's on this call, and we will make sure we are able to address and respond to you. So that's not a lingering question. We're here to support you. It's what we do. It's what we love to do in helping our students succeed and transition into graduation and then into the workforce and beyond. So with that, again, thank you. Have a great evening, and we thoroughly enjoyed you joining us tonight, and we hope you were able to enjoy our town hall. So with that, thank you, and go Norse.